So this is the flat digestive model for Bio 158. So starting here at the top of the model here, this right here, these are showing the lips, those are the teeth. This area right here is called the vestibule. So that area right there is called the vestibule. This area right here, this cavity here, is the oral cavity. So that is the oral cavity right there. You can see the hard palate above that. There's a soft palate here. This is the uvula right there. This is the tongue right there. And then this whole section here, this opening here, is our pharynx. And there's three parts. Essentially where the uvula ends, and above that, this area here to there, that area is the nasopharynx. So that is the nasopharynx. This is the epiglottis right here. And so essentially from the uvula to the epiglottis, that area there is the oropharynx. And then this part right here starts the esophagus here. And so this area from essentially our epiglottis to the beginning of the esophagus right there, that is the laryngopharynx. So nasopharynx, oropharynx, laryngopharynx. So I already mentioned the esophagus here. We can follow the esophagus down all the way till we get to this organ here, and this is the stomach. Now if I open this up here, you can see a few of the different regions of the stomach. This little region right here is called the cardiac region. So that is the cardiac region right there. And essentially if I put a line there from the opening of the stomach across, this area over here is called the Fundic Region. So that is the Fundic Region. I take another one of these pointers and I put it in this direction here. We see that this area here is called the Pyloric Region. So that is the Pyloric Region. And this area in between is the body. So if we look at the four regions of the stomach, we have the Fundic Region, the body, the Pyloric Region, and then this small little region here, which is called the Cardiac Region. You're seeing a couple of curves on the stomach here and out here. This is called the lesser curvature here, and this is called the greater curvature here. Lesser curvature, greater curvature. Also, when we look inside the stomach, you're seeing all these ridges in there, and those ridges are known as rugae. All right, moving on to the next organ in our digestive system is our small intestine. So here's our stomach going into the small intestine. I'm going to take a piece off of the large intestine just so we can see this a little better. So right here begins the small intestine. All of this is small intestine as well as this. Now the three areas of our small intestine, the beginning here is called the duodenum. So this area right here is the duodenum. The majority of the small intestine here is called the jejunum. So this area is the jejunum. And then the ending part right here, this ending part right there is called the ileum. So that is the ileum. So the whole thing is a small intestine. The specific parts are duodenum up here, jejunum here, and ileum here. Now I'm going to go ahead and put on the piece of that large intestine. So next organ is this, the large intestine. When we enter the large intestine, we see the sac right here, and that sac is called the cecum. So if you remember, the ending of the small intestine is called the ileum, and this area of the large intestine is called the cecum. And this right here is a valve between those two areas, and this is called the ileocecal valve. So that is the ileocecal valve. Now there's a structure coming off of the cecum here, and that structure is called the Vermiform Appendix. So that is the Vermiform Appendix. Now where we are in the body is in the lower right quadrant. And as you can see from here, if this is the lower right quadrant, we're going to move upwards here. So this area of our large intestine is called the ascending colon. So this is the ascending colon right here. Now you're going to see the colon turn right here. Now this model isn't 100% anatomically correct because the liver would be larger and it would be over in this area. And so where our large intestine turns right there, that is known as the hepatic flexure. So hepatic for liver, so that is the hepatic flexure right there, that turn. Now we move across the body here, and so this region of our large intestine is called the transverse colon. So this is the transverse colon. Now over here is the spleen, and the large intestine turns right by the spleen. So we can see it turn right there, right by the spleen, and so this turn there is called the splenic flexure. So that is called the splenic flexure there. So next, our large intestine is going to continue to move in a downward direction here, and this is called the descending colon. So this is the descending colon. And on this model, it doesn't show it all that well, but our large intestine will turn up and then curve down, and it'll do this S-shaped structure there at the end of the large intestine, and this is called the sigmoid colon. And if I put a sticker down here at the end of it, yeah, that's what that would signify, the sigmoid colon. So we have cecum, vermiform appendix, the ileocecal valve here, ascending colon, hepatic flexure, transverse colon, splenic flexure, descending colon, and then here at the end is the sigmoid colon. This right here is the rectum, so that is the rectum. The anal canal is essentially the opening of the anus, and in that you're seeing these kind of groove kind of structures, and those are the anal columns right there. So the anal columns. And the opening, once again, is the anal canal. A couple other structures that we see here. This is the only place that really shows it, but this kind of muscle layer colored there is trying to show the tinea coli. So the tinea coli. These are longitudinal muscle fibers, the tinea coli. What you're also seeing are these like little pouches on our large intestine, and you can see them just about any place, these pouches. And those pouches are known as haustra. So those are haustra. So each one of those is a haustra. Next is the pancreas. This organ right here is the pancreas. Like it kind of looks like it has a fish skeleton on the inside of that, and that fish skeleton is actually the pancreatic ducts. So that's the pancreatic duct. Here's the liver. And associated with the liver is the gallbladder here. And the tube coming out of the gallbladder right there is the cystic duct. So that is the cystic duct. And then lastly, as I already mentioned, this is the spleen.